Sprite Castle. Sprite Castle. Sprite Castle.
Mr. Rob O'Hara.
Sprite Castle.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sprite Castle. On today's episode, I will be playing Joust, or Jouste, or Jouste. I don't know how you say that, but it is. This is a. There was no official release of Joust. Atarisoft did not release. Released? Wow, it's early today, folks. Atari didn't release an official port of Joust for the Commodore 64, which is hard to believe. So, I guess this happened right around the time of the of Atari changeover and Atari's beginning of Atari's financial woes, and so the great thing about the Commodore 64 is that it was so easy to. I've got my volume turned up here. So easy to develop for that there were lots of great games that just people made, or small companies, or whatever, one-person projects or one or two people. And so this is one of those. This is Joust with an E on the end, which I assume, I don't know, I see things like that, and I'm sure these people thought that would protect them from getting sued. I don't know if it did or not, but you can see on the title screen there is the word Joust with a little tiny E stuck over there on the end. So let's go ahead and get started with Joust. If you are familiar with the arcade game Joust, and I really can't imagine that you're not if you're watching this, you can see here our enemy little bird people popping up, our little jousters, and there's me up at the top. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of this version of Joust, so I'll just get that out of the way. This is definitely one of those that I think if this is what you had to play in the 80s, then it was probably enjoyable, and people that played it a lot probably have good memories of it. This is actually my buddy Sean, my co-host, one of my co-hosts with the Throwback Reviews podcast that I do, and also my partner in crime with ThrowbackNetwork.net. Said that he used to watch his brother play Joust. I guess his brother had the Commodore, and so Sean was the little brother who had to sit there and watch his brother play. I guess his brother didn't have a lot of two-player games, or wouldn't let Sean play. So Sean says he used to watch his brother play a lot of Joust, and so he had requested this for the show. I do remember playing this back in the day. There's a Fergism. My buddy Ferg over at the 2600 Game by Game podcast is not a fan of the phrase back in the day, which I didn't realize how many times I said it until Ferg mentioned that he's not a fan of the phrase. So, which hasn't stopped me from saying it, just made me notice how many times I say it. Anyway, so let's talk about this game a little bit. First of all, if you're not familiar with Joust, the goal here is to destroy all your enemies here by jousting them. And to win a joust, you have to be higher than your enemy. So as you can see me, I'm the jouster there with the red shirt on the level. Now I'm on the bottom level here. When you kill a jouster in a joust, or defeat a jouster, the person riding the little ostrich, flying ostrich there, is knocked off of their mount and turns into an egg. That egg will eventually hatch into a more difficult opponent, so you want to try to collect those eggs before they hatch. If you catch them before they hit the ground, they're worth more points, so if you can do that. There's the undefeatable pterodactyl, as he is known. I just got killed. So now you appear in a spot. I really need to kill this guy before the pterodactyl gets me. The pterodactyl is pretty difficult in this to kill. So I'll go get this last egg. We'll move on to round 3. So you fly, just like in the arcade game, you fly by flapping your wings, which is done by hitting the joystick button. So you will get tired of doing that pretty quickly if you're playing this version. I don't know why this is, but almost all ports of Joust have this weird mechanic or physics feeling, and this one is bad. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but It's almost like you are playing Joust underwater. It's like everything in this game is a little sluggish. Everything is a little slow. It takes a little bit longer to change directions. It takes a little bit longer to, get up to speed. There's just something about it where they're just not as responsive as the arcade version. So, sound effects, sound quality are reminiscent of the arcade version. They're not as good. I don't know. I'm trying not to be totally down on this game. It's just, it wasn't ever a favorite of mine. I do like Joust, the arcade version. I guess the graphics, you could say the graphics of the platforms and stuff look pretty cool, with the different shades there or whatever. The graphics of the actual jousters to me look too fat. Look at me, Judge. I don't like the way that he runs. If you saw that, he just he doesn't. In the arcade, the sprites were made it look like he was walking, had a gait to his walk or whatever. This is the egg wave, this is the same in the arcade version where you have to get all these eggs before they hatch, but unfortunately on this version they hatch really fast. Also, one thing I noticed in this version, there are some safeguards built into the arcade version. For example, other Joust opponents won't appear on the same platform wherever you appear if you've died or whatever. But on this version, there's no provisions for that, so people, as I'm standing here, just people will show up and just bump me out of the way. I don't know. It's playable. I think I saw this was copyright 85, which would be pretty late for a Joust clone. There are lots of Joust, not just clones, but games where that are very similar to Joust, but they have added other features to them. I actually wrote a bunch of them down here. Let me see here. Pegasus is one that I had. Pegasus is a Joust clone. Duel Dragonhawk is a pretty good one. It's not exactly Joust, but it's similar enough in gameplay. Let's see. Lancer Lord is a terrible one. I don't know if I'll ever finish it, but I'm working on a book of the worst Commodore games that I ever played, and Lancer Lord is in there, so that tells you what I think of Lancer Lord. Alpha Warriors, Return of the Space Warriors, those are both Joust-type games. So there's plenty of Joust clones out there. This is probably the closest to the arcade that you're going to get on the Commodore 64. So if you're stranded on a desert island and all you have is a Commodore 64 and you want to play Joust, then this is what you're going to be playing. Personally, there's a lot of other games on the Commodore that I would prefer to play. Oh no, the hand's pulling me down in the lava. Oh, and then the pterodactyl. They tag teamed me. Did you see that? The hand got me, and then the pterodactyl came in and got me from behind. Which is this. I'm not going to go there on Sprite Castle. Anyway, let's see if I can put this in here in the next 5 minutes. Even the high score entering thing is sluggish. Everything about it. So, anyway. That is Jouste. Jouste. I don't know if that's how you say it in French. Jouste. For the Commodore 64. It is what it is. Like I said, if you're dying to play Joust for the Commodore 64, this is what you've got. It's a fun little game. Not my favorite, but it's passable. So, anyway, thanks for checking out Sprite Castle. If you want to follow updates on Sprite Castle or see all the episodes, go to spritecastle.com, or you can go to throwbacknetwork.net, and you can see not only all the Sprite Castle episodes, but You Don't Know Flack, Throwback Reviews, all the guys that are on our podcasting network, Ferg's, Atari 2600, Game by Game podcast, the Televisionaries, all of Doug McCoy's podcast, and lots of other great stuff coming. So thanks for watching Sprite Castle, and I'll see you soon.